Good morning. I want to welcome you all who are joining us live for the Wednesday morning class. And if we have anybody new, I always try to explain that this is a class that's been held for the last year and a half at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. And we decided to kind of put it in the middle of the week so that we could come together on the middle of the week and kind of recenter, recharge, reboot ourselves for the rest of the week. So we're always glad to have you. Well, I'm just very excited about this information that I've been holding really for several years and kind of just playing with, but it never felt like it was time to bring it out. But it just has been so strong on me to teach on this idea of the light body, as I really think that a lot of the teachings that we've done, such as you that have been a part of my quantum jumping classes and multi-dimensional dimensions and universes, I've been teaching that for a long time, and that's a good kind of goal that we're all looking for, but the how was just not prevalent with that. And this is more a possible how. Now, I want to make it very clear that I am not a person that believes in a lot of absolutes in this third dimensional world, as I think everything is fluctuating, changing, and ever in a place of seeking its own self in the absolute. So I many times have thought through the years of my following a path, a spiritual path, that I'd found it. I thought this belief system, this church, this group, this school of thought, that's the one I've been looking for, to only find that it was a great blessing until I allowed myself to expand my consciousness and newer information would come in, and I've just been on a journey. It truly is a journey, and I think we've been too goal-oriented that we have missed really what we can experience in the journey itself. So we're in a very interesting place, as the old Chinese proverb says, may you live in interesting times. And of course you can define interesting however you want to define it. But it is an interesting time, and in fact, a unique time. You know, I love the language of metaphor. I think metaphor, archetypes, is a great language of the soul that is beyond the conceptual language of the brain sometimes. And I told Tim the other day that what I felt like when we refer to God as Mother, Father, God here, in that parent metaphor, that we have been sent to our room. Remember that? When you did something and somebody said, go to your room and think that over. And I feel like we've all been sent to our room and we've been taken away some of our privileges. And you say, well, why would we do that? Is God punishing us? No, this is a reaction back to ourselves. This is the law of karma, of sowing and reaping. And it is time to realize that actually these are our own pathologies that are being built up for a long, long time through the ages in the misuse of our free will. See, we have that part of ourselves that is equal to that which created us. Love equals love. And that's why I keep telling people, and have for years, that God doesn't have love for you. God is love. There's a difference in what somebody has and what something is. So when we came to the place to realize that God is love, and when we experience and bring up that love, we're experiencing the God within ourselves in the expression or attribute of love, right? So then how do we use that love? Even though love is a pure force, a pure power, but some people can misuse love in a way to control, to manipulate, and to do all kinds of horrible things. Doesn't make that love's a horrible thing, but it's our free will to how we use these things, even the divine attributes of things. So because of what we have been depositing into the collective unconsciousness at a level in which it now must come out, just as the toxics that you put into your body. For a while, you can get by eating that sugar and eating the pizza and eating all of that. Tastes good, nothing changes. But if you keep building up the pollutions of the world, at some point it's going to emerge out on the body politic, just as it does on your physical body. So this is what is happening right now, and actually this is not a bad thing from a spiritual point of view, that it's an opportunity for us to go to our room, shut the door, have our phone taken away, metaphorically, which may be something to think about literally sometimes, less of it. But I know it's getting all of us through by using our phones correctly and all the wonderful encouragement and wonderful quotes and sayings that are done to keep us going. So I'm not saying literally, but it's time to set aside a lot of these distractions that's in the outside world so that we really can, maybe for the first time, really explore and have the inner adventure of all of that potential that is beginning to vibrate and beginning to awaken in us. That's exciting to me. And we just need to all take this time out and use it for a way that can really make us a more spiritual, divine human being. So I'm excited about this idea of presenting one of the ways. As I said, I'm not absolute. I'm not saying what I'm giving you is the absolute gospel. It is the only right thing. But I think at this time, it is time for us to step out of the box a little bit and look at some things that are not so traditional. And I don't mean just traditional in traditional religion or Christianity, but or even in Eastern thinking, but I'm looking about going deeper and looking at things into the field of possibility, and to check out that 90% we've never used of ourself that's just been hanging around and waiting for the call of activation to become awakened. And I'll tell you, when it starts awakening, it starts shaking everything in your life. And that's why your life is being shaken so much, because of the inner being that is being awakened and activated. We've been doing this for a long time through meditation. Then we got into chimes and drummings, and we got into the solfeggio and the frequencies and the tuning forks and chanting and all these things that became so popular in the last just couple of 3 decades has all been that activation of getting vibration going in the energy. And when you have energy plus vibration, you equal pattern. And when you get a pattern, the body also says, now I've got a different blueprint and pattern to look at than the old one I've been looking at. Because I don't know how the old one is serving you. But if you're sitting here and you've got arthritis and you've got some things going on in your physical body, I think I'd change the blueprint and give the cells something different to look at. So this is definitely a little bit out of the box teaching for some of you, not all of you. I hope that you did what I suggested to do last 2 weeks, and that's to look this subject up for yourself. Just put in Merkaba, Merkaba, or H on the end, or Merkava. It's called many things, whether you're hearing it from the more Greek, or you're the Egyptian, or even the Kabbalah. All speak of the Merkaba and say it and pronounce it a little differently. But it is a word for the light body. So I said all that to say this is, can we present this as a vehicle of doing what we've been teaching for the last few years? And that is, how do we have access to these multiple dimensions? Now, I think this goes all the way back. If you're kind of a Christian background Bible believer, these things are not way out beyond that. It was in there all along. Let me give you 2 things. In my Father's house are many, many mansions. Now, I used to sing that song, I want my mansion next door to Jesus and all that. And I imagined this great old big 18-room house with 9 bathrooms and servants and whatever, and on streets of gold. You know, that's some of the belief that's still out there, that this is going to be some glorified Disneyland up in the sky somewhere where we're going to walk on streets of gold. I don't know how that'd make you any happier to live in an 18-room house with 9 bathrooms and walk on streets of gold. In fact, there's people on the earth today that have that kind of money and live in those kind of places and could pay their streets of gold, and they're not happy. So it certainly is not in the symbolism at all that we're going to find what we are looking for. But the word there is rooms. First of all, it's not mansion, it's rooms. Now, rooms represent, you got to realize when all this is being translated, they didn't have this quantum language that we have today. They didn't understand multiverses and multidimensionalism. They didn't understand all these things, that we have a different language. And the Bible tells me that in this last of the age, I shall speak to you in new tongues. Remember, I taught you last week, tongues means language, not just your physical tongue. Of course, you need your physical tongue to speak, but it is like forked tongue, as Native Americans say, or all these things that has to do with coming out 2 sides of your mouth or 2 sides of your brain, something like that. So when we realize that now we would say, in my Father's house, in my presence, in that essential, unique you, there are many dimensions yet to discover. That's a great thing that was said. Another thing that people don't like sometimes is the fact that the Bible says when the eye is single, the whole body will be full of light. And you know, when the body is full of light, it's not going to be confined to the boundaries of physiology. It's going to outray it. It's going to so outray it that it's going to come back and clothe the physical body. It's written that the Apostle Paul was saying, my house groaneth to be clothed upon. I believe that's in 1st or 2nd Corinthians 5th chapter, if that comes to me right. But it says that I am asking my house. Now, a lot of people teach that this house is the temple. Wrong. The temple is your spirit. Because it says the natural man can't receive the things of the spirit. So it takes your spiritual house, which is a temple. Now, the tabernacle or the house is a temporary thing. You go from house to house. You go from tabernacle to tabernacle. You go from physical lifetime to physical lifetime. That's your tabernacle. But your temple is that permanent residence of the divine presence that's always in you, whatever form you take. The temple of God is always within you. So when we meditate, we're going into the heart. We're saying, come to the temple. Meet me in the temple of the white golden light. And pretty soon we'll feed that light. Our eye will become single. What does that mean? It means that we become single in the one power, one faith, one Lord, one baptism, one people, one Christ. When we come into that, then it becomes so full that we become like a cup overflowing and cannot contain itself. When that happens, the outraying happens, and we're going to talk about that. So what I'm getting to is I want to go back and do some review on the last 2 weeks on the first part and second part of the Merkaba light body. So I know this is new, and I just think it would be good to not rush through this and go to another subject too quickly, because I know how the brain works. It'll just store more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge, and we'll never digest it into our lives. So this is an important idea that I think we're presenting to you. Is the Merkaba light body your vehicle, your spacesuit, your light spacesuit in which you can actually travel and access these different frequencies and explore all the many rooms in your mansion? I started out with a Hopi saying last time, and I want to give it to you, and I do appreciate you that let me know that I did not say a word correct. I have to let you know sometimes my mind works faster than my brain at this age of life. The brain slows down a little bit, but the mind keeps going the way it was all along, and sometimes I have to catch up, and I say things a little bit wrong, plus my dyslexia. But please, don't look at my words. Hear what the Spirit is saying in my words are much more important. So somebody let me know that I said, now, see, I got a block. Earth heals itself through catastrophic events. All right, thank you. So when the heart of man and the mind of man become so distant, they're no longer one. And boy, that has happened, didn't it? They say one of the longest journeys is 12 inches from the brain to the heart. One of the biggest journeys that you can make is a 12-inch journey as you move out of your head, a head that makes up stories that are 90-some% not true, based on outside perception and misinformation. But the heart holds the true spiritual meaning of all things. So it says when that happens, at that point that it gets so far, the earth heals itself through catastrophic events of change. The ancient text tells us that in the time of apparent non-activity is actually a time of tremendous realignment. Oh my goodness, if you don't get anything else I'm saying, let me say that again. The ancient text tells us that in a time of apparent non-activity, go to your room. No television, no this, no that, is a time of tremendous realignment. One thing I'm excited about is all the reports that are coming in of how the earth is healing itself, how there's less pollution in these big industrial cities and states, and how that even the vibration, the wobble of the planet is changing stuff. I heard the other day there's hardly a hole in the ozone anymore because the earth is repairing itself. Maybe it's a time for our bodies to repair itself too, from running here and running there and doing things that we really don't need to be doing, and how we want to just keep acting because we're running from ourselves. I think we caught up with ourselves. So it says that this is a time of realignment. Within the subtle energy fields, see, that's where we have to go. Into the subtle energy fields, the blueprints of Earth realign themselves to accommodate new patterns of energy information. That is so good. Just take that in. In biblical terms, this time in history is equivalent to the process modeled to us as the death, burial, and resurrection of the universal Christ. Let's just breathe that in for a moment. Death, yes, a lot of the old ways will die. And I'm sorry, we'll never return back to the old norm. I know you think you want to. I know your brain's telling you that story. It tells me that story. I watch a TV show or a movie and I think, that was before the virus. I'm almost envious of these people that they're out there walking around, talking to each other, doing the things that we're not doing right now because it's before the virus. I used to look at things and say, that was before 9/11. Friends is one of my favorite shows, and they still sometimes show the towers back at the time that was being made. And I think, that was before. Don't let your ego mind do that to you, that everything was before, when there's so much potential ahead of us. Please join me in the uncharted territory of the human potential, or God in you. Same thing. Your potential is God in you. God as a field of possibility. And quantum physics and science has discovered and found that. That's not New Age woo-woo. Actually, we have proved the field. We thought the field was empty space, but really it was so subtle that we could not detect it with our microscopes until we finally got into the quantum level, and we found that everything came out of a place of a field of no thing, but where everything can come from. So I love this field idea. I think it's a great meaning in that. So the light body is basically called the Merkaba or Merkaba, however you choose to do it. And it's made out of 3 syllables. I'd like to talk about Mer, means light. Ka, Merkaba, means spirit. And Ba means body. Now this means that something is coming together in the light body that is neither a separate mind, body, spirit. And I've been saying that for a long time to all of my students in Soul Energetics, that we are entering into a new paradigm and out of a paradigm of the body, mind, spirit teachings. Not to say that they are not still an overlap, and we can still use that term because we here in third dimension. So we like things in 3s: body, mind, spirit, Lord Jesus Christ, 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. I could go on and on and on. Everything is in 3s in the Bible because it's trying to reach us in third dimension. But it's telling us there's much more than has been written by the pen of a man. But there is that which eye has not seen nor ear heard, and things which are ready to appear to us that has never been yet written. And that's what we want to tap into, that latent information, that data that is ready to be awakened into us. So you that are saying, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it through this? What's it going to be like? All those questions are all answered in you. Yes, and we must be careful a little bit of outreaching ourselves to find answers. And I'm confessing, too, that I went through a few weeks of this, or a month or so, in which I got listening to everybody from conspiracy theorists to people didn't believe anything was going on, to people that were overreacting to what's going on. And I go, that sounds pretty good. Well, that sounded pretty good. That was negative. That was positive. Till I got so confused, I lost myself into the opinions of other people. And that's when I had to be sent really to my room. And that was, the answer is always in you for you. And the answer for you is you. And the answer for you is in you. And the answer in you is in you. And this is why this is a time for you to go in. And you say to the Holy Spirit, let me detach from any outcomes. Let me come back into their presence and find that inner information and guidance and clarity that I need. In the Bible, it's work out your own salvation. Work out your own. Somebody else can't give it to you. You got to work out your own salvation. And salvation there is the word sozo, or healing. It's another word for healing. The healing of the mind, the healing of the erroneous teachings of the mind, the brain that has been put in there. We have to and heal them. And you know how you heal them? Undo them. Through a technique called forgiveness, and A Course in Miracles it is called. So, Merkaba means that body, mind, and spirit come together in one field. They're not separate. They make up a field that is more synergetic than the body, mind, spirit. You got to realize body, mind, spirit is still a sort of separation of this is not that and that is not this when it's all the same thing. Everything is energy. So the Merkaba means the spirit body surrounded by a rotating field of light. And I'm going to be talking about that next week, is on the spin and how that we can spin and create the vortex that can take us from Kansas down the Golden Road to the Emerald City and down the rabbit hole and all those wonderful stories that are great metaphors for telling us there is a way of escape that has been made for us. And that's the thing I was trying to say Sunday when I started out with the scripture. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You have to make a decide. Do I want to live or do I want to die? Or, now that's physical death. And a lot of physical death is going on and will go on. That's an area that I don't want to get into because I think it's too touchy and I think it's too much of a mystery as to who goes and who stays. But I think something deep is going on than what it appears to be. I really do. I think you've got lifetimes, past lifetimes involved. I think you've got karmic issues involved. I think you've got contracts involved. I think you have a lot of things because people don't realize at some deep level of the soul, we make this irreversible choice of life or death. So choose this day, it says. Choose this day whom you're going to serve. If you want to live, then I would suggest that you hang in there and keep your distance, use your masks, do what you need to do within the confinements that has been given to us, especially here in North Carolina. We thought by Friday maybe we could start inviting a few of you in, but I think we should look at more Memorial Day because that gives us another time to see how this is going to go. And I just learned that we are number 45 in the United States for testing. That's really low, very low. And I wish that we would put a little pressure maybe. So if you're not doing anything, call your senator, call your congressman, call somebody, and let's put a little pressure on them to get this testing because I think it's going to be the way that we're going to have to know what's going on. That is my opinion only. So take it for what it is. But I think by going to phase 1, then we go to phase 2, we'll be in another about Memorial Day. And if things are going in a trend and a way that we can begin to set this in a way and we can get some, we'll be talking to you. We're having a board meeting tomorrow about all this, and we'll be giving you this report on Sunday, a little bit what we come up to. So the Merkaba is not a separation of body, mind, spirit. It is the result of body, mind, spirit coming together and creating a new body in you, a new dimensional body. The Merkaba is, and this is where I can lose some of you, but please don't do it. I am not a mathematician. The worst subject in my life growing up was math. I didn't know I was dyslexic. I just know I wasn't good with numbers. Still have an issue with numbers. But I'm telling you, as much as that is embarrassing on that level, on a higher level that I've been brought to, I see how this served me. Because I saw a lot of things backwards, because everything in this world is backwards from the spirit world. I've taught you, looking into the natural world is like looking into a mirror. When I look into my mirror and I'm trying to part my hair on the right, it looks on the left. So everything is like looking through a glass darkly. And it's backwards. I'll give you one example. I was in a group many years ago called the Overcomers. Overcoming death, overcoming this and overcoming that. And they were working so hard at it and doing all this. And I got this message one day about tell them to stop overcoming and come over. I said, wow, that's it. It's not about getting there. We just need to really come over to what already we've been given as the gift of creation, of spirit. So come on over with me into the light. Come on over with me into the healing. Come on over with me into the peace. Come on over with me into the joy. It's all there just waiting to awaken in all of us. The word Merkaba is very interesting in the sense that it is a word that is actually translated 44 times the word chariot. Chariot. So the whole chariot thing, and a lot of people who understand the Bible understand Ezekiel the first, where Ezekiel saw a wheel in the middle of a wheel, and how that something was spinning like a wheel, and that Elijah and some others in the Bible went up into heaven in a chariot of fire. So chariot is there as the metaphor for what we're talking about today in the light body. The Merkaba is actually a geometric, sacred geometry. Now, I'm not good at the old Euclidean, I believe it's called, geometry, if I'm saying that right. That is the old one you learn in school. This is sacred geometry, totally a different design and patterning than what we've been taught. But they are mostly made of things that we call tetrahedrons and other hedron, different angles and patterns that maybe we can talk to a little bit more at some time. But for this, we need to understand the tetrahedron. So the tetrahedron, I don't know if he has it up there for you, but it is a pyramid. Just think of a pyramid, a three-sided triangle with three sides. That is a tetrahedron. So that's not hard to do. And you see tetrahedron hanging around people's necklaces, on their necklaces. They don't even know what they have. If you'll watch Gaia, you'll see a little tetrahedron spinning. People probably don't even know what that is. But it's all over. All of this is right in front of us. We just don't know how to recognize it. But we will after these classes, I'll tell you. You'll see it wherever it is and where it shows up in some way or another. So there's many ways in which you can see this important rotating, counter-rotating field of light. Wheels within wheels. The Merkaba is made of two of these. Of the two triangles, the two tetrahedrons. One of them pointing up and one of them pointing down. And the reason of that, the pointing down is earth, toward earth. Pointing up is toward heaven. If you're looking at it from the male, female, or the yin, the yang, and these two polarities of heaven and earth all intersecting each other but pointing in opposite directions. So this is a wonderful way of how you actually can bring more heaven to your earth and more earth to your heaven. Think about that. Now Jesus, yes, I admit Jesus is kind of a pattern for me on a metaphysical level. I believe he's kind of my way maker as a pattern. I'm not talking about just the man, the historical man, although I have appreciation for that, but I'm talking about the Christ that he was, manifested in a form, in a human body, gives me some kind of a map, a blueprint that I can relate to as a human being. And one of the great things that he told us was the fact that we need to be in heaven on earth. And it says it this way, for the Son of Man is in heaven. But when he said that, he was on the earth. He didn't physically at that time have to go somewhere. Before he ever physically went into another dimension, he was already going into that dimension inside of himself. That's why his teachings were so powerful. And that's why his ability to do alchemy and healings and all these things were so powerful within him, because he learned what he was going to take with him physically, inwardly first. See, it had to be done in heaven as it is. It had to be done on earth as it is in heaven. So he learned how to transcend in his body. And every yogi, every great teacher, every enlightened being learned how to do this inside themselves before it ever was something they could walk into and bring their whole biological cellular body into it. So This is what meditation was supposed to be about. This is about Ascension is supposed to be about. And all of these wonderful inner technologies that we've been given, so many of us for so long, has been to prepare us for this particular time. The Merkaba in the Kabbalistic, and you understand the Kabbalistic, is the mystical Jewish teaching. I know I repeat all these things, but I have to keep laying foundations to things I say. You've got three major monotheistic religions in the world today. You got Christianity, and Christianity, before it was really official Christianity, which was 200-300 years after Jesus was here, about the 4th century, it became organized as a Christian religion. You had Gnostics and you had those who were pre-Christian, who were following the teachings of Christ, but did not take on the label of Christianity. That was given to them later in Antioch when the unbelievers called them Christians. So the word Christian is a label that's been tagged on to people who were Christed, and we begin to connect to the label of Christianity. So everybody thinks the whole answer is to be a Christian because it's a label. I say you need to know the principles of Christ in yourself and become a Christian, not a Christian. A community of natural Christs. That is the true church. Then the Jewish people, before Judaism took on its traditional teachings and Orthodox teachings, there was the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah is something we need to get into because it's something that is ancient, but for now, it's been hidden until this time also. And then you have the Islamic teachings of Islam. And of course, they had their mystical before it became as it is, and that was called the Sufis teachings. So everybody has a mystical side to these different religions of today. So the Kabbalistic says it is not the light. Now, I want you to get this. This is a great quote. It is not the light at the end of the tunnel, but it is the light that burns away the tunnel itself, opening up whole new dimensions of meaning and awareness. I'm going to repeat that. This is what the Kabbalah says the light body is. It is not the light at the end of the tunnel, but it is the light that burns away the tunnel itself, opening up whole new dimensions of meaning and awareness. Whew. So the old norm was light at the end of the tunnel. The new norm is it is the light that burns away the tunnel so that we have access to all these multiple dimensions. Exactly what is the Merkaba? Technically, it is an electromagnetic field that is in geometric in nature. It is believed to extend through all possible dimensions and parallel universes. It can possibly change its nature from electromagnetic to whatever is appropriate at the time. Wow. So that means when you get a desire for something, that if you use the electromagnetic field of these photon light, you can absolutely manifest whatever is appropriate. Now, appropriate's an important word there because it doesn't mean you can manifest anything you want because you want to get it. You know, everybody thinks they want this. Have you ever thought you wanted something and manifested and decided you wish you hadn't manifested it? Like a wrong marriage, a long relationship, something else in your life. People think they want more money. People think they want to be rich. People think they want to be this, that, and another. To find out, I wish I'd have rethought this a little bit. Didn't quite work out the way I want to do it. So that's because we didn't have the blueprint of intention. When your intention is in alignment with divine purpose and you manifest it, wow, it's a glorious thing. It's an explosion of peace that passes understanding and joy. That is exciting. So technically, it is an electromagnetic field that is in geometric patterns and becomes natural. You know, I'm looking for spirit and natural become one thing. Because in the old religion, being natural was sin and horrible and bad, and sexuality and everything that you did on a natural level was bad for you. Everything that over here that was didn't feel good, that you didn't want to do, was spiritual. What a dichotomy that was, to try to make yourself happy, always going against the grain of everything you like and want and who you were as a human being, and was told it was immoral and it was all bad. No, that's not the way to live a whole, fulfilled life. So let's look at one of these verses that was before Christianity, before the Bible, that has been found only in the last few decades in the Nag Hammadi lost books of the Bible, and that is the Coptic Gospel of Thomas. You won't find the book of Thomas in the Bible anywhere, but you'll find Thomas. And this is what Thomas, who was writing down and following Jesus' teaching, so that means they were less messed with interpretation than anything that's in the Bible. The Bible has been interpreted so many times and infiltrated with all kinds of man-made doctrines and ideas, but there's some that was in more pure state that was held for us. So let me read to you out of the Gospel of Thomas. I quote, "If they say to you, 'Where did you come from?' tell them, 'We came from the place where the light came into being through itself alone.'" I like that. That means it didn't get lost in the interpretation of itself. It extended itself to be itself. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. It equaled itself. We call that extension, not projection. Two different things. Tell them we came from the place where the light came into being through itself alone. Now if they say, "Who are you?" say, "We are the sons and daughters. We are the elect of the living Father." And I could get on the word elect there, but that'd be another message. I won't do it. But here through the Holy Spirit, not the ego. If they say, "What is the sign of your Father?" Your source. Tell them it is in a movement and a rest. I think it really says in a movement and a poise. A movement and a poise. So your life, what's called the book of life, is really the song that you were given. The song meaning your individual purpose. And you've got to play out your song. So when we look at musically at everything, we see life a lot differently and clearer, the poet said. And what that means is there's a time that my life is just happening. Man, things are just coming fast. Right now, for some energetics, things are so busy for us. And this is a testimony that this time that everything else is closing down, we have revved ourselves up and doing absolutely wonderful at Soma Energetics, and it's busy, filling orders, dealing with all of these at this particular time. But it's not always like this. It wasn't like this a few months ago when we were kind of just really struggling when we're going to get an order, and it may not be later because things ebb and flow in this. It's got a flow to it. It's got a rhythm to it. It's got a beat to it. But right now we're in the eighth notes of doing this just fast as we can. And then maybe we slow down just a little bit to get into a quarter note, a little slower. And then we get into a whole note. We can really slow down. And then something says, "Rest. Enter into my Sabbath." And everything shuts down. Now here's where you can make a choice. Either you can go, "Oh my God, what happened? What did I do wrong? How can I get this going again?" And that's kind of where we go sometimes. How can we refresh it? How can we keep this momentum up? Instead of saying, "Okay, it is slowed down. Now we have some time for creativity. Now we can look at all the things we've been doing. And Spirit, is there more that we can do to empower our people and the people that are ordering our tuning forks and doing through our training? Is there more that we can give them?" That's the rest points. So see your life musically like a song. And the psalmist David said, "I shall give you a new song," or a new life. And I'm looking for that new song that no man could learn, it says. It's not written in the pen of a man. It's written in the tables of your heart by the finger of the Spirit of the Creator. It's the song that we're looking for that's going to be there. I want to do something a little different. I haven't done these weeks, but what are some of the signs of this experience of the light body and how we begin as a vehicle to allow us to move into ascension? Now, I haven't been big on ascension like everybody else was some years ago. Everybody wanted to ascend, and I said I do too, but I can't ascend until I fully finish descending. See, people want to cut things off. We don't want to let the principles and methods of the Spirit work themselves to where they're going. We want to cut it off because we want instant gratification. We want control. It's all about control, people. Right now, it's all about control. You'd like to control this situation. You'd like to take control of your life again right now. But it's about losing control, letting the control go. And if you let your egoic control go, the Holy Spirit will start leading you and guiding you and teaching you and bringing you into all truth. How can it lead against your controlling it? Make space, and grace will fill it. All space is for grace to be shown. But I think maybe we've entered a low point. Einstein called it that the reason everything is round out there in the universe is because of the mass of a planet. That's what makes it this size. The Earth is this size. Mercury's this size. Mars is this size. It all has to do with the mass. And when the mass gets the heaviest, it follows the curve back on itself. So we're living in this point in which now we've bottomed out, and now we can begin the ascension. So what are some of the things that are happening to maybe you and I that are beginning to feel in this time of this density of mass, at the same time a curve of ascension has begun? Here's a few things. Feeling intense of unusual vibrations. Feeling intense of unusual vibration. That means your sensitivity level is heightened. You're more sensitive. The negative more positive, more positive. The right is more right. The left is more left. This is more that, and this is more this. And we see these extremities that Greg Braden talks about so beautifully, that we're living in the extremities of two worlds. And boy, are we. We are a house divided. I've never seen the world and this country as divided as it is today. But that is because the vibrations are changing. Next, experiencing pulsating or rushing waves of energy. What was that about? You know, you just feel like you want to shift or do something different, or you toss in bed and you do this and you can't quite find your comfortable space anymore. Like, where'd it go? You know, this is where I've always sat. This is always where I've always done. This is what it doesn't feel so good anymore because of the shift of trying to get us to realign ourselves to new electromagnetic resonant frequencies that are changing. Mother Earth is changing, and we are the children of Mother Earth. Biology, that means our biology is changing. The spin of electrons are changing. The human resonance is changing. All these things are changing. Why hold on to what it used to be when it can become what it is to become? This is really an exciting time from a spiritual perspective in that way. Tingling sensations. Oh my God, I feel like something, and I know we're not supposed to be touching our face, but I find myself doing this all the time because I feel little things on me. And of course, it's a bug, it's a germ. And I say, no, there's nothing there. I was doing that last night. I just kept feeling this, like, was there hair there or something? But I'm feeling these new sensations at the outer, in the nerves. The nerves are responding. They're the most sensitive part of our making is our nervous systems, which is connected to hair follicles and all kinds of things like that. So you might feel like a bug just came by, but there's nothing there. Well, my mother was passing and going, and she kept doing this with her nose the last few hours, days. And the hospice people says, well, you know, we've had people tell us who survived for a while that it was the angels that was tickling their noses. And I thought, well, that's a cute story and it's great, but who knows? Maybe those angels are new dimensions that are coming in and integrating into us and giving us a different sensation of a different kind of experience of tingling sensations. Pressure throughout your body or in specific areas. Yes, I realize Some of us have arthritis, we got joint issues and whatever. But this is a different kind of a pressure. It is the pressure of what's coming in. It's like when you're laying and sometimes you get too heavy a quilt and you feel that heaviness, but it keeps you warm and protected and gives you a sense of security. Well, we're being covered. I want you to know you're covered. I just hear that in the spirit. You know, when you have something go wrong right now, you want to be covered. You want your insurance to cover you. You want the government to cover you with those checks every month that you get, Social Security and whatever it is that you're getting in life. You want to feel protected because you're being covered by something bigger than yourself. Well, the divine Spirit of God is absolutely falling like rain, so to speak, as a metaphor, upon us and baptizing us into the very garment of the Christ light at this time. Feel it. Feel it. Extreme sensitivity. We talked about that. Emotional episodes of crying for no apparent reason. And I want to say to you guys out there, cry. Forget this old order male type of identity that's been put upon you that men don't cry. Please, I think men most of all right now that are out there going through trying to worry about their families and their children, whatever, should have a time. I'd say go to your room and have a good cry. Let those emotions out. It unfreezes the soul. Tears are the frozen soul and the fire of prayer in God melting the soul until it becomes a running river of life. And when the river of life, when the river of life is flowing through the desert, it said the desert will blossom like a rose. Wow. Outbursts of hysterical laughter for no apparent reason. In other words, what is going on with me? I've never felt this before. All these emotions are coming up. This is not me at all. No, it's not you. Because there's a new you being birthed and coming forth in you. Wow. One of the functions of the Merkaba is to act as a vehicle to take the spirit body into the next world. How do you do it? It is stimulated around the human body like a 3D geometric web. And I thought, how we call it the web. We get on the web. Native Americans talked about the web, the spider web, spider grandmother, all these kind of names. They knew about a web, a net that is there for us to hold us, to catch us. Now listen, it says that this light body is in our 3D geometric web, but, now this is important, is dormant and non-functional, but waiting for the right moment when the spirit that inhabits the body remembers its identity. Sorry, I'm just excited because this positions us. This positions you who are coming to Heartlight or in spiritual metaphysics or New Thought or any of those places who are teaching to you that your true identity is your spiritual divine identity. Not first your human identity, that you're I know this has been worn out, but you're a human being trying to get a spiritual, but you're a spiritual trying to have a good human. What a great shift that was for so many of us. But the minute that we started finding out and the Spirit woke up and said, I am the divine in you. I am that spark of the Creator that is the Creator in you. You are the divine identity in this human experience. The minute that you knew your identity, it begins to change certain aspects of itself through an incredible experience called transformation, or in this case, it is called transfiguration. So let's talk about transfiguration. Again, I'm going to go to Yeshua, Jesus. I know I'm repeating, but you need to hear this more than one time. Jesus, and this is in Matthew 17, if you're interested at all to look any of these things up. So blow the dust off the old Bible, the old big family Bible you inherited from Grandma, and you might want to come check some of these things out that I'm saying for yourself. Jesus was guided to go to the high mountain. And I keep stressing that because there is nowhere that the word high mountain is used anywhere in the interpretation of the scripture. They went to mountains and hills and all kinds of things, but the high mountain, and Fillmore teaches us in Unity that mountains are always exalted states of consciousness. So he went into a high enough state of consciousness, into a high enough vibration that something could come in that could match the vibration. People say to me, I've been praying for years, and I've been meditating for years, I've been reading for years, and nothing's happened. I've never seen any of this thing demonstrate. What is wrong with me? Or if there's a God out there, why would God withhold it from me? Nobody's withholding a thing from you. It's as if your Father's good pleasure to give you the things of the kingdom. It's as if your earthly fathers can give you good things. How much more can I give you? That's the heart of God. The heart of God is to give his children everything, their inheritance. But we're not in the place to receive it. You cannot receive something you're not in the place in which to receive it. This is why understanding vibrational resonance is so important, that you have to bring a consciousness to a level of a frequency to receive the desire in which you are trying to manifest. You can pray till the cows come home. You can read affirmations. You can go through classes. You can go through everything you want. But if the vibration has not been raised to the level to match what you're trying to bring in, and when it does, you can't help but get it. It'll come so naturally, it won't even be a miracle. It'll be the natural law of spirit made manifest in a human experience. Well, that's what Yeshua represents to us, at a point that the Christ that he was led him to the high mountain. Now, the Spirit gave him a formula. He had a recipe. Let's say you got a recipe. The recipe is transfiguration. You have a recipe. You got this, you ate somebody's cake and you go, I love this cake. Can you give me the recipe? So you want the cake. That's what you want to demonstrate. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go home and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to speak cake, German chocolate, cake. Oh, I can see it. I can taste it. Cake. It's not working. Where's the cake? Listen to what Spirit says. Get up, go down to the store, take your mask, stay 6 feet, be careful, and go down there and you get these ingredients. You get the flour, you get the milk, you get this, you get that. And you got all the ingredients together, and you come and you put all your ingredients down together, and guess what? You follow the recipe. You don't just throw them all together. You need a little of this, a little of that. I mean, this is getting real specific now. It's not general, it's specific. You need a half a cup of this and a third or fourth of a cup of that, and pretty soon you got all the ingredients together, and you know what happens. Now you have brought something to a level that can become your cake. But you had to have something to become it. You can't just go from cake. You've got to put in the process. And that's why Jesus said, I'm the way. I'm the way to do it. Don't throw me out. Don't cast me aside. Yes, man's going to take me and make me into something that's going to benefit his dogmas and his doctrines, but I will come again. For many people here at Heartlight who had put Jesus aside. One lady came to me and said, I've got Jesus out of the trash can. Someone said that to me here. Thank you for helping me get Jesus out of the trash can, because she saw the Jesus of her old fundamentalist Christian traditional child bringing. She had all kinds of issues with it, but when we presented him and let him come again without all of that dogma and doctrine, and see him as the Christ, the blueprint of God, the DNA of God, the purpose of God, the universal mind of God, made manifest into a human blueprint. So Jesus, all these disciples, he called out all 12 of them. He said, no, I only need about 3 of them. 3 is the magic number always. Jesus always worked in the 3s. Peter, James, and John. That's all I want. The rest of you guys, stay down here and pray and do whatever you're going to do, but you can just kind of stay. So, I've got 3 here today with me, and Tim's the 4th man. Peter, what is Peter? We've learned faith. James, wisdom. John, love. The ingredients was faith, wisdom, and love. Wow. To the high mountain. And when Jesus did that, everything was right. He had set the environment. Watch your environment. What is your environment? Every day you have an opportunity to create the environment of your day. And the minute you open your eyes, mine is, this is the day the Lord hath made, and in it shall I rejoice and be glad. This is the day the Lord has made, and I am that part of that lordship. I'm not looking for something up there. I'm looking at something in here as me through the choices that I make today. If I set the environment for peace, then peace will come. That passes even understanding, because I don't understand a lot of this either anymore than anybody else does. I'm just can be as human as anybody else. I can get mad, I can get angry, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, I don't like this politician, I don't like this group. I can go there, or I can go to the high mountain. Take the high road. Now I'll be in Scotland before you. When that happened, Jesus knew and discovered he was the Christ. Now the Christ is a type of your light body. So he was Jesus, and in him he discovered the Christ, which fathered him. See? The Holy Spirit, the Christ, fathered him. It fathered him so much that he started talking about spirit, and he said, my words are spirit. Spirit started speaking to him and through him. And the Spirit found a way to get into 3rd dimension. Whoa. Jesus said, I'm the door that brought in a 5th dimensional energy spirit that's more whole than this in-part world you're living in. Jesus said, I'm the door. And through that door, that Holy Spirit found a way into 120 people in an upper room, high room. They all got high. You got to get high. Don't get low. Get high. High on spirit, high on vision, high up on the things I'm telling you that is going to be so tremendous. The shining of this new day will be as bright as 7 suns, it says. And it's always the darkest before the dawn. Remember that. Chaos is before the transformation. Birth pains are for the birth. How can you escape this? You cannot. I know you wanted to. I did too. I had plans in the 3rd dimension. But the old saying is, when I plan, God laughs. And God's been laughing at us for a long time about where we thought we wanted to go. No. God said, go to your room. Rethink. Repent. Repent. For the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's in your hands. Hands always speak of doing. Get involved. I don't want one of you. I can't correspond with all of you. I'd love to, but what are you doing? How are you spending your time? I'd love to know. I wish you would interact with me a little bit more out there. Let me know what's going on with you. Email me. Call me. Do something. I'm in touch with some of you, but not all of you. But I'd like to know, what are you doing? How are you creating your day? How are you dealing with this? I couldn't help the other day to think about Maya Angelou's famous first book. I think it was her first book, about the caged bird. Learn to sing. The caged bird. Yeah, the song of the caged bird. So I thought, hey, you might feel you're in a cage, but learn your song. And the new song will tell you, hey, you got feathers and you got wings and you're not meant to stay in this cage. But while you're in this cage, you don't have to get out of the cage to find the song. You find the song in the cage. Oh, where'd time go? Oh, I'm so sorry. Elijah, 2 Kings 2:11 says, and they were walking along and talking together, and suddenly a chariot of fire and horses is always power, of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up in heaven in a whirlwind. Whoa, vortex. That's what we're finding, that everything is little vortices of energy. All matter is nothing but little vortices of energy. If I could stop seeing this as matter that is third dimensional, illusionary, objective, and see that everything is trying to pull me through the whirlwind into the next dimension, where peace does abide, where joy does abide, where health does abide. I got to stop, but I don't want to. I'm going to continue. Just stay with me. I hope you will. But we're going to do what we did last week, and I want to talk a little bit. Stay with me. Stay with me. This is important. This is important stuff. Hang on with me here. We're going to do our sound again. I got to find my sheet, which I'm not finding. Hold on. Here we go. This comes from a very wonderful book by Saul Luckman, Conscious Healing, which I appreciate his work and what he's doing, especially with the solfeggio. But I wanted to do this last week with you. Here it must be stressed that much of the information mainstream science has propagated about biology is misinformation or disinformation. Who knows? Maybe some of this is just accidentally misinformation, if you believe that, or some of it is purposely disinformation to keep us away from certain things. You can work out that salvation for yourself. Certainly incorrect and maybe intentionally misleading. For example, in humans, now I want you to get this, the brain and the central nervous system are not composed entirely of organic matter. Now this is what science is not telling you. This is what they don't want you to know. They also appear to contain up to 10% of the following 6 precious metals: gold, iridium, osmium, palladium, platinum, and rhodium. What does that mean? I'll tell you. Stay with me. This fact has remained largely hidden from the public, at least in part because current technology simply is not designed to detect such metals that normally exist in human physiology. Through the use of kinesiology, muscle testing, they were able to test that 6 metals and found them to energetically correspond to as well as activate the 6 solfeggio frequencies. That means you do have a higher mind. Not a higher brain, but a higher mind in your brain that holds these elements. Like Jesus took 3, this is 6. And if you get the 3 and the 6, you got 9. And if you get 9, you got a key to the universe. Isn't that exciting? How would you like to be given the key to the universe? You see these mayors give people the key to the city, and because they do something great and whatever. Imagine the divine giving you the key of the universe. And of course, keys just don't mean that key like a lock a door, but it can be a C sharp, a D sharp. It can be a tone. It can be a frequency. And in this case, it is the 6. So much I want to say to you. So, he says that the working of this theory is that we have 3 strands of our DNA. This is what makes you different from your maybe family friends who think you're really crazy and you've got off into some kind of cult and all these kind of things. The reason you can't help it is because you came in with an extra strand of DNA than the double helix. 3. And pretty soon 3 will become 6. 6 will become 9. And finally, all of that will end up in 12 strands in the new creation person. So that, again, is where we're going to integrate the DNA work as we've never seen it before. The picture is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Why we've been given all these different things like DNA activation workshops and all this. All this is going to come together into a synergetic way of becoming that new creation being. So, So much. I know so much. So we're again going to go into a state of meditative receiving state. If you would just get comfortable wherever you are. And I'm going to play the solfeggio frequencies. And I want you to bring your attention, first of all, breathe in. And breathe out. I want a good breathe out. I want to, oh, yeah, make a sound. Make a sound. Breathe in new light energy. Let go. Anxiety. Let go. Depression. Concern. Worry. Hear the Spirit sweetly saying, like a whisper across the limbs of the limbic brain that is in you, and saying that if I feed the sparrow, how much will I not take care of you? If I clothe the little lily, how much will I take care of you? Hear the sweetness of Spirit telling you, fear not, for I am with you always. But first, take a deep breath and bring your attention to the Ut, which is the root chakra. The root chakra. And this tone will go to activate the root chakra. Clearing out all of the stuff that has to do with the first years of our life, tribal issues, family issues. Now let's go to Re, which is the sacral right below the navel area. Bring your attention, breathe in, and bring your attention to the solar plex, right at the very top of the stomach area. The me, Mater Gestorum, miracle. Now we move to the heart, wisdom, the heart that holds the direction and clarity of your life at this time. Now, we're going to go to the soul, the throat area, the place in which the identity of the Christ can flow through our words, and the thoughts of God and the Word of God is made manifest in the flesh, in the mind, in the emotions. Now move to the third eye, the eye of intuition and guidance, the ability to see through illusions around you, to see the hidden agenda of people, places, and things. Now bringing your attention right above your head to the crown. Breathe in, 3 nice breaths. Through intention, we bring these vibrations and frequencies into our life as we are living it right now. Into our day, into our thoughts, into our emotions, into our feelings. Immersing us as we awaken and activate the light body that is in us to come forth as the vehicle that will give us access to a dimension where there is not a pandemic going on, that we can escape in the encagement that we find ourselves in. We can find the song of hope and vision that lays dormant in us but made alive today. Bless those who have joined in or with us live and those that will continue to be with us later. We ask the blessings of El Elyon, the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and of the Melchizedek order, and an endless life to be upon your life. And thank you. Quickly, I want to again encourage you. Thank you so much. We made our budget again this month. You are being so wonderful to continue to support us. And for last month, I forget what month we're in now. It's a new month, isn't it? It's all running together a little bit. But anyway, thank you so much for your faithfulness. And some of you even bring it by and just leave it here. And some are mailing it in. And you got credit cards, you got PayPal, many ways that you can do it. And if you're out there thinking, oh, my little $5 or $10 wouldn't make any difference. Well, if a lot of people say that, that makes a big difference in a hole in the budget. So whatever you give, however much you give, and it's not just what you give, but it's in the giving itself. Now, I'm not going to, I hope I'm not coming wrong, but we're doing a lot to prepare for this. I'm trying to give you the best that I have in this circumstance. I know you'd rather be here. I'd rather have you here. But it's the way it is, and I'm doing my best to try to be the best I can to keep you, your soul fed and your heart singing and your vision alive in you. So please, I do love hearing from you. Thank you for you that do email me or call me and just say, I was on there, I heard it, and appreciate it. And if you don't do that, then I don't think you did appreciate it, because that's where my head's going to go. That's the story I'm going to make up in me, is because you didn't say anything, it's not good. So sorry to be that way, but it just helps because we're in an exchange of a relationship here. And it's not just about me sitting here giving, but it's also the receiving that is the giving to us that is important. But thank you. I love you. We miss you physically, but we are so much more than our physical bodies, and that's the lesson to learn, is all this wonderful part of ourselves that we're going to learn and embrace. So I'm going to give you a great old big electrical hug, energetic hug right now, wherever you are, wherever you're sitting in your room. Just feel that hug and feel our hearts meeting together as we hug heart to heart electrically. And feel that you are not alone if you are alone out there, and bless you that are together with someone who can physically hug you. Do that several times a day. Bless you, as always, my sincere prayer. Until next time, Sunday morning, 11:15, be here again with you, and then things are going to move on really quick here pretty soon, and things are going well here with the remodeling and the road thing. Oh my God, they're so close to getting this thing open out there. This may all dovetail and all happen together. So God is still God, right? And wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much. You that want to join me on Zoom, I'll be on Zoom in just a few seconds if you'd like to join me, and we can see each other face to face. Thank you.